Before we begin, our thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Ukraine as they fight for their nation's sovereignty. We see you, the world sees you, and we commend your courage. Welcome to Sprig Media's new series called Industry Insiders. Here we speak with experts from all across the shooting sports world in hopes of uncovering insights and bringing them straight to you. My first guest is a great Olympic trap shooter, a former teammate during my time at Martin Methodist College, and a close friend, Caleb Lindsey. Very few people are able to rise to the highest levels of competition in any sport, much less so make a career out of it. Caleb has done both of these things. What I hope you take away from our interview is his career path, his trajectory, and an insight into how shooting can become something one day. When you're starting in middle school or high school, there's a lot of uncertainty, and let Caleb's example be one of many that shed some light onto how you can turn your passion into your day job. Here's our conversation, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, Caleb Lindsey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Coleman?
Doing fine. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
Yes, so you are one of the people I know that have had a fantastic shooting career.
Oh, thank you. I
Starting
appreciate
off,
it.
oh, you're more than welcome. You've really demonstrated that over the years. You started off in middle school
Yes,
and
sir.
with a middle school shooting team, and you've managed to make it all the way up to the national level on the national United States national team going to World Cups.
Yes, sir.
So, could you walk me through this a little bit? What's your career path look like here in the shooting world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started shooting my eighth grade year with my middle school. I'm originally from Tennessee, so I went to Spring Hill Middle School, is southern central Tennessee, and
Okay.
I started shooting at my eighth grade year. I was given the opportunity. I kind of stopped playing sports just because I kind of got tired of little league and stuff like that. So the only real exercise I was getting was just kind of extracurricular stuff like doing riding skateboard, riding a bicycle, just outside playing with just as a kid.
Right.
So my parents thought it'd be a good idea just to get into more constructive, I guess, sports teams. Just because I personally, and I agree with them, being a part of a sports team teaches a lot of skills, whether you play sports any higher level than middle school or high school. It teaches you how to team bond and stuff like that. So
Right.
I started shooting in eighth grade. I primarily started shooting American trap. I'd only really ever shot a shotgun about two times before that, and it was for hunting purposes. I went hunting with my dad when I was 9 years old. So I believe I started shooting in 2010, and I graduated
Okay.
high school in 2015. So that kind of gives you a timeline. And I started shooting American trap. Fell in love with it, shooting a semi-gauge or a semi-automatic 12 gauge. I
Okay.
went from there, started shooting kind of through high school as well. Started with went to Spring Hill High School until they took the team out of the high school, and then moved to a smaller, well, I say smaller, a large club team that was located about 30 minutes away from my hometown, and that's
All right.
where I progressed to shooting American trap, American skeet, and sporting clays.
Okay. So then you were branching out a little bit,
Yes,
trying
sir.
to get into different layouts. What was the motivation behind getting into the different layouts, if I may ask?
So the main thing was I always enjoyed American trap. I mean, that's where my strong suit is, where my background is. But as every American trap shooter does, especially when they're young, you want to expand and go, wow, that sporting clay thing, that looks really cool. Or, oh, wow, skeet, I'm used to targets that fly straight away from me. I want to shoot the stuff that crosses. So
Right.
it was more of a fascination thing, and it became, okay, wow, this is really fun. I still enjoy trap, that's where my background is. But I wanted
Right.
to branch out and go, okay, well, if I'm gaining ground in this trap game, I want to start to gain ground in ski. I want to start gaining in sporting clays. I want to branch out and be more than just a one-dimensional kind of clay target shooter.
Okay. And for the listeners here, we will have a breakdown of these different shooting sports, the different disciplines. So don't worry, that'll be pinned up above. going into the future as we continue to build this channel. But that's really interesting. So you're trying to push these different skills and these different aspects of your game, trying to widen uh, your interest here with the sporting and go beyond just trap shooting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's great. And did that end up paying off for you later on?
Yeah, so as I progressed through, I started to gain a little bit of success. I believe I shot my first 100 straight in American Trap in I believe my
Impressive.
freshman year of high school. Thank you. And so I started shooting, I started gaining a lot more consistency and higher numbers in American Trap. So as I started to gain ground there, I kept my focus hard there because that was my primary goal in the team, was to be a trap shooter. But I wanted to expand and put up scores and help out everywhere I could. So my skeet scores and my sporting clay scores started to go up. And in that time, I started to network a little better, become friends with more people, and that led me into starting to shoot international trap, which is pretty much all over the world. American trap is exclusive to the United States, more or less, and international trap is shot all over the world at various levels, from just your amateur, just shooting for fun, all the way up to the Olympics. So when I got introduced
Okay.
to that, I was like, okay, cool. Let's go that route. I've kind of done everything I can do in American trap, minus going to the Grand American and winning something there. I just never pursued the ATA, American Trap Association, points racing. I just
Okay.
shot the standard, what is called singles, which is one target American trap. Um, so as I
But as
progressed,
I understand it, there's a little bit of trickery involved with that system
yes,
of
sir.
points because
You
maybe you
don't
could
have to
explain that
win.
for people.
You don't have to win every single match you go to. It's kind of a combination of there are three disciplines in the American Trap ATA community. They are singles, which is a regular 16-yard line American Trap; doubles,
Okay.
which is on the 16-yard line again, but there's two targets that come out. You shoot 100 targets that way, basically across 2 rounds. You shoot 50 targets and 50 targets for your 100, where American Trap is 4 boxes of 25. And then there's handicap. Handicap is based off your average. So as you start to shoot a higher average, they handicap you by scooting you further away from the trap house. So I believe handicap starts at the 19-yard line, and I could be wrong there, but I think the 19-yard line, and it backs all the way up to the 27. So your guys with the highest
And
averages shoot on the 27-yard line.
right, so this is a little bit like golf where we establish handicap to help level the playing
Absolutely.
field and keep everybody together.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, so a lot of that ends up coming down to just participating, being there, showing up, and putting in your best effort.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about how much do you want it. It's so different compared to like baseball or basketball or soccer, any of the other team sports. In clay targets, you are a team. And as I'll get into in a minute, I actually went through all of my college for my undergrad and my master's shooting for a collegiate clay target team. But it's an individual sport that you do as a team. If you do the best you can do and you show up, you be present, and you do all you can do, you've helped the team. Or there's certain instances that I've been a part of where I might not be the strongest shooter in that discipline, or even that day I could just be having a bad day. But if I can
Right.
help the guy in front of me and go, hey man, look, you're shooting a little behind that target, give it a little more lead. Okay, now on that sporting clay course, instead of them missing the A target every time, they hit it 3 out of 4. Okay, cool. That just helped the team out, and I've done all I can do to help them do all they can do.
It's fantastic when you're able to lift up a teammate in
Oh
that
yeah,
kind of situation.
oh yeah, it's just as rewarding.
And you know what? We've been in the trenches together,
Yes,
so
sir.
we know how it
Shot a
goes.
lot of clay targets together. Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe we can pick up with Martin.
Yeah.
See, so you spent some time. You went through middle school, high school. The team went away.
Mhm.
You went to another club. So does that bring us to CTC, Tennessee?
That's about the time when I switched over to the CTC Tennessee, which is the abbreviation for the Certified Training Center of Tennessee. So I started
And
shooting
that's in
there,
Nashville,
and that's in
right?
Nashville. Yes, sir. So that was about a 45-minute drive north of my house, um,
Okay.
and so that was so it was a little bit of a drive, but the international bunkers are not that they're not common, especially in the United
Right.
States.
Really sparse.
Excuse me. And yes, they're super scattered across the country. So, and I'm fortunate enough now that from my house. I can be at the coach that I'm going to mention here with the Certified Training Center, along with my coach through college. He actually built a bunker in his backyard, about 15 minutes from my house. So that was
Oh,
great.
wow.
Yeah. So it was a great training opportunity. But until then, I had shot at Nashville Gun Club, what I consider to be the hardest bunker that I probably ever shot. To give you a perspective, I made a junior team and two national teams for Team USA before I ever shot a 25 at a 25 on this bunker.
You're kidding.
I'm dead serious. It is what I would consider to be one of the hardest bunkers in the country.
Now, have you put up a 25 at Fort Benning? Because
I have put
some
up
people say Fort Benning is pretty stout.
Fort Benning's pretty tough. I have shot a 25 at Fort Benning. I believe at every match that USA Shooting holds competitions at up until this year, I had shot at least 125 at the compounds that we shoot at. We just started shooting at Hillsdale, Michigan, and it was my first time up there. Unfortunately, while I was there, my dad got very, very sick, and we had to actually leave mid-competition, so I didn't get to finish. I appreciate it, and he's much better now. I'm thankful he got through it, but it was really unfortunate because I obviously want my family to be okay as much as I want to shoot well, but it's just not worth it. There's sometimes it's just not worth it.
No, and that's wise words right there. We look after our family and friends.
Absolutely.
And they come first.
Yes, sir.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, so I started shooting for the Certified Training Center, I believe in 2013 late 2013. The spring of 2014 was my first USA selection match. That was in Kerrville, Texas in the spring of 2014.
All right. And how did that match go for you?
It was definitely a shell shock. Like I said, I'd come from the American Trap game where I was used to, I went out there and I just knew what I was doing. It came very fluid. I'd done it for so long, and going out to this place that I'd never been to before was, really, really cool. I was really excited. But Kerrville's a very interesting place. The first time I got there, and it's improved significantly since. When the range is not in use, they use it as a cow pasture. So I was out there, and at the practice days before the match, there are cows roaming around just in the compound, like at the shooting complex. And I can distinctly remember in one of my practice rounds shooting a hard right, about a 1 meter, 45-degree right hand target off of Station 2 on Field 2 in Kerrville, and turning around and telling my dad, I'm pretty sure I just shot that cow. I did remember it plain as day. And that cow was completely unfazed. He just kept chugging right along, but I 100% certain I shot that cow.
Yeah, so for people who are watching this and judging me now for laughing, if you're shooting what the clay target loads for that we would use in Olympic trap shooting, for instance, or American trap, after about, what would you say, Caleb? 100 yards? It feels like rain.
I have been what we call to be peppered. Peppered is when you get hit by the shot after it's reached its effective range.
So it's not actually pepper. It's not actually penetrating the skin, just peppering you. It feels like you're getting rained on.
It feels like rain, or being on a beach when it's or when it's windy, sand hitting you. It's not painful at all. That cow had no idea I shot at it.
Right. So no animal cruelty here.
None at all.
Not about that.
None at all.
So, but yeah, that shakes you up a little bit when you're going after a clay target and all of a sudden there's a live animal at the other end.
Yeah, well, you're going along and you're tracking, and right as I'm getting ready to, pull the trigger, all of a sudden this cow, I just see it. I'm locked in on the target, but I see just behind it, I see this cow, and it's definitely, rattling. But yeah, so that was my first match. I distinctly remember also, I was shooting. We're going into the very last round, so the 10th round of the competition, and my dad tells me, he goes, "Well, I'm not going to lie to you. You are dead last." And I was like, cool. So I went out and I shot the best round I'd shot the entire time I was there. I shot 23 out of 25. And that one round moved me from dead last to like 8th from the bottom. And I thought I was over the moon.
I guess there's something to say for removing all the pressure and just being in the moment, taking it one target at a time, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's at the time I didn't understand that phrase, but it's always one target at a time. It's not, man, I've got 250 targets in front of me, or man, I've got 25 for the round. No, You've got one target in front of you, and you're going to call for it, and you're going to shoot at it. And after that moment, it's gone. Whether you hit it or you missed it, it's gone. So that it took me a long time to learn that, but after I did, it helped significantly.
That's fantastic. And so, were you really anxious going into this first competition in international trap?
I would say I was more nervous. I mean, I was really excited. I would say anxious, but at the time, I mean, I was just really amped up. I was like, man, I'm excited. I get to do this thing. Like, I've been reading all about it. I'm shooting with these great shooters. At the time, I didn't really know anybody, so other than the people that kind of gone with us. So I'm just like, okay, I don't really know anybody here. So I'm just going to stand around and watch and just try to meet people, see who does what. And throughout the years from that first match, I have become really good friends with a lot of those people who at the time I thought, wow, I'm never going to be able to shoot, these scores they're shooting. And lo and behold, I've been side by side with them in finals. I've taken trips overseas with them. It's just been great.
Wow. That's it's the shooting community is really warm and inviting.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to the international disciplines, whether it be international trap, which is also known by Olympic trap, or international bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of variations there in the name, but also international skeet. And
it's another interesting sport.
Formerly doubles. Double shooting, which not to be misconstrued with the doubles from ATA, American Trap Shooting Association. These doubles were thrown from the same bunker as Olympic trap, and let's say they were a bit more challenging. And that's why it was in the Olympics.
Much more challenging. They are much more challenging. I've shot both. I shot one match of international doubles before it was taken out of kind of the circuit, and I enjoyed it. I didn't realize at the time there was a trick to like counting your pairs. So you've got like the AB pair, the BC pair, and the AC
There's
pair.
That technique with counting the fingers, and you can line it up and spot shoot the first target.
Yep. And at the time I had no idea. So I was over here just, I know two targets are coming out when I call pull. That's all I know. I had no idea there was a certain kind of order to
it. Yeah. You have to shoot it in a certain order, because otherwise, well, it just downright impossible.
No consistency at all.
Right. It's just completely inconsistent. That's a good word for it.
Oh yeah, very inconsistent.
Yeah. So getting back to Martin, I want to key in on this because it's one of the now. Okay, so we're speaking about Martin Methodist College, which nowadays goes by the name of University of Tennessee Southern.
Correct.
And it's the home of the Firehawks.
Correct.
Okay. So what makes this team special is that it's one of very few university teams in the United States that's actually endorsed by the school itself, to the extent that the university, the college, can give out scholarship funding to students for the sport. And it's not just a club game that uses the school's name. There's a big distinction there. You mentioned shooting on a team and the kind of impact that had on the dynamics at the shooting range, whether that was trying to line up on trying to figure out how to approach one specific target, or even the mentality on the shooting line itself, because you have to stay sharp mentally.
Yes, sir.
Could you go into your time at Martin, maybe a couple of the lessons you've learned shooting at the university level, but also on a team, and maybe what you got out of that?
Yeah. So when I started shooting for Martin Methodist in the fall of 2015. I went straight from high school into college and shot from the fall of 2015 to the spring of 2021. So that would have been graduating my undergrad in 19 and graduating my master's in the spring of 21. So during my time there at Martin, I mean, for my 6 years, unfortunately, one of those was taken away due to a lot of COVID protocols due from our governing bodies. They canceled all of the shoots for the 2020 clay target year.
A
So
bit ironic considering that shooting sports are
outdoors.
predominantly held outdoors. Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
was
we knew
an
very
interesting
early on
time.
that this virus doesn't spread so much with natural
Yeah,
sunlight. So
interesting times. But yeah,
yeah,
so I started shooting there. And that's actually when I met Coleman. I started in our freshman year. We shot together for 2 years before Coleman moved to Sweden, just to go to school there. But yeah, so what I noticed there that was different from my high school experiences was everyone on this team was there for the same reason I was, and a
and what
lot
was that?
to be the best collegiate team in the country. That was our goal. A lot of times I mean, it goes the same way with all sports. Sometimes kids just do it just because they think they should, like their parents think they should, or they think it's cool. When there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I had several friends that never decided to pursue clay target shooting after high school. That they loved it and they loved their time there, and I enjoyed being their teammate. But it was so different when I got into college. It wasn't like, man, I'm trying to beat this kid because he's got the higher average on the team. I want to beat him. It was, hey, I want to shoot the highest average on the team, or shoot my highest average so I can benefit the team the best, so the team does well and we all do well. It no longer became, I'm trying to beat this kid. It's, I'm trying to beat myself because I want to do the best I can for the team. And it was
Right,
always team first.
to be a contributor, team first. That's a very positive mindset to have, and yeah, there's something to be said for when you have a level of competition. Everybody's trying to push themselves and grow,
Mm-hmm.
and grow together because ultimately it's a team.
Yes.
Whether so maybe you could get into that. How did that, being on a college team? We shot multiple events,
Oh yeah. We shot. So
right?
we would show up at an event. We had two big events every year. We had the Scholastic Clay
Well,
Target program.
well, hold on just a second. What I'm speaking about is the disciplines. What I meant was the
Oh yeah.
disciplines. So, and maybe you could touch on that. How having experts from different disciplines improved your game, or might have.
Oh yeah. No. So like where my background was primarily American Trap, and then at the time International Bunker. I I was grouped into that. Okay, these kids over here, they're really good at American Trap or International Bunker. These guys over here are good at American Ski. These guys over here are good at excuse me, five stand or sporting clays. So what would happen is, okay, I always shot all the disciplines, but I was never the top of the team in skeet and sporting clays. So I would always try to befriend the guys who were good in those disciplines to help me out, and then I would consequently help them out in American Trap. So that helped grow not only the team dynamic, but it then helped me. Okay, now I can shoot this discipline better, but now they can also shoot it better, and we can help each other out. And it was really cool as we started to grow and learn each other better. One of the guys that you and I both know, Philip Poston. At the time I met Phil, he was the best American skeet shooter I think I'd ever met in my life. I watched
Yeah,
him
as a matter
shoot.
of fact, we called him Skeet God on the team.
Yeah, I watched Phil shoot for roughly 3 to 4 months without ever missing a skeet target. So I had Phil help me out a lot with skeet target as well as some of my other teammates. And like Colin King, for example, is the one who finally got me really situated to where by the time my junior year came around in my senior year, I was consistently one of the top scores being used, and actually shot my first 100 straight in skeet by my junior year of college, which is cool because my highest before that was like a 92. So I know that's only
Wow.
like an 8 target gain, but in the clay
Yeah,
target
but when we're
sports,
talk,
yeah,
yeah,
I have
when we're talking about the last 8 targets to get to 100, those are an order of magnitude tougher to achieve than the
absolutely.
first 90.
I
So,
have I have come up short several times in bunker competitions by missing the final by 1 target, or
as have I.
yeah, or I mean,
It's heartbreaking,
it's
but
painful.
that's the nature of the beast, and that's why it's a competition.
It's painful. I mean, I've told people several times I'd rather lose by 10 than by one. 10, 10 it's like, man, I missed 10 targets, cool. Where if I missed one, it's like, man, of the, say, 15 targets I missed, any one of those I could have just put this much more lead or shot this much faster. Or, you really start to get in your head. So it was really cool to get with those guys and, have them help me and then me help them, and everybody helps each other, and the team really starts to grow. So by the time I think it was my senior year or my junior year, I can't remember exactly. It would have been the fall of my sophomore year. We won the Scholastic Clay Target National Championship in Marengo, Ohio. And we had a really great dynamic, and we won that. And that's actually the same year that we fell one target short to winning the ACUI, which is the other collegiate governing body for clay target shooting in San Antonio, Texas. So we came up one target short there, which was very, very painful because everybody shot so well up until, it all came down to the last moment, and to come up one short, it just hurt.
Yeah, that sure did. That sure did. Would have been nice to have swept that year's competition.
Oh, absolutely, because we had done so well, all the way up through that year, and then just to come one short, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, but maybe that speaks to the group dynamic and the team that we had. It was a fantastic team, great shooters. But in shooting, you really have to have a still mind, and at times, drama can arise in teams.
Absolutely.
And we don't want to get into that too much, but I guess the big takeaway there was just cool head. That's being a respectful teammate and keeping a positive mindset. That's
for sure
the major key, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And that's, there's always this common thing that's said, and sometimes people understand it, sometimes they don't, sometimes it takes a little while to get it. But the big thing with shooting compared to some other sports is shooting sports are 98% mental, 2% physical. Like, it's nothing for me to pick up a shotgun and point it at a clay target. Takes very minimal, focus and effort. But to do that 100 times with the precision it takes to break the target one time, 100 times over, it really becomes a mental game. Like I said, anybody can pick up a shotgun within reason and shoot a clay target. All right, cool. I'm 1 for 1. That's great. Now do it 99 more times. And then if you happen to shoot the 100, okay, now you've got to face up to sometimes 15 to 20 other people who also shot 100 out of 100 just to shoot more and more and more to, come up.
So
to come
being
up.
able to do that on command consistently.
My cat wants to say hi.
What's the kitty cat's name?
His name is Binks. He's a
Binks.
Binks. Yes, sir.
Not to be confused with Brinks.
Yes.
Armored vehicles.
Correct.
Not quite the tank.
No. Oh, he's a tank, but he's not like that.
Oh. Yeah. So delivering consistently, and when the stakes are at its highest, you have experience doing just that and representing the United States in the process.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about what it was like to go to, first of all, to make the national team? Can we go to the moment when you realized that, oh my goodness, I made it. This is it. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a vest because in the international trap and international skeet, that's kind of the sign that you made it.
Yes,
right.
That's the whole.
So
hey,
you get the national team vest, and then you're very proudly representing your nation's colors.
Yes, sir. So, and the way that USA Shooting breaks down their main two categories. They have what's called junior category and the open category. The junior category is anyone who is, I believe it is the year you turn 20 is your last year as a junior. So for somebody like me, my birthday's in December. I essentially lose an entire year of shooting because my birthday's in December. Whereas one of the guys that I always shoot with a good bit in the international community, his birthday was like January 2nd. So like he essentially gains a whole year of shooting where I was losing one. So my last year as a junior, I placed third at the nationals for USA Shooting and ended up getting a junior team vest. I believe I shot a 118 out of 125, which at the time was my personal best. Like, I was very pleased with it. The
It's
following
solid
year,
shooting.
thank you. And the following year in 2017, I placed second. I kind of came out there and shot at the time, best match of my life. It was great out there. All these took place at the Olympic Training Center range in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I shot my personal best again, and then got my spot. I placed second. I won the silver medal for the open division, and then I was like, wow, this is great. This is really cool. I've never done anything like this before. I've never experienced this kind of success in this game. And I was just on top of the world. Like, it was so cool. I realized in the middle of that final, I thought I had actually shot myself out. And by shot myself out, I mean I hadn't shot well enough to make the team. I thought I just made the final, and I hadn't shot well enough to actually medal. The final takes place with the top 6 shooters in the category, and they will take the top 6 scores. At the time, they would wipe the scores clean.
Okay.
And you would shoot 25 targets. And then with this one was actually what they called the super final. So it's even more complex than that. The finals rules change all the time. That's why I'm struggling to tell you which ones actually happened at this particular match.
And they just recently updated. So
and they changed them again. They change them pretty much every year. So it's easy to tell you what's most up to date, but to go back and tell you, I just remember in this one we shot what was called a super final. So the super final consisted of, we were going to shoot 50 targets with one shot for the final. So everybody out there, all 6 of us, shot 25 targets, and then we stopped. They counted the 25 targets we shot on our flipper board. Then we all shot 25 more. Then we took the totals of those 25 targets shot with a single barrel and then added them to our qualification scores, and that's how we placed. So in that super final, I can distinctly remember this happened on Field 2 in Colorado. We were getting gusts of up to 40 to 50 mile an hour wind straight in our face. So if you've never experienced that kind of wind with a clay target, an international clay target is a little bit skinnier than like an American trap or American skeet target. The American trap target's a little more domed, a little bit as far as their height. If you were to look at them this way, their height's a little taller. International targets.
They translate into what?
They're supposed to cut through the wind better. So that thinner target, it's a harder composition, and it will cut through the wind better. So when you get to winds to that speed, it doesn't matter. So we're getting targets that would come out of the house and within probably 10 yards do a massive jump because of the wind. But because it was gusting, it wasn't every single target. And shooting in gusty wind, it makes it very hard because you'll get one target that comes out right as it should. But then the next one comes out and it shoots, 15, 20 feet higher than the one you shot just before that. So you really got to be on your toes and really be watching the targets.
So this final was a ball buster, you could say.
Oh yeah, it was very difficult because of the weather. And of course, like I said, I'm competing in an open final for the first time in my life. Like, this is the first time I've ever had any kind of success in this range, and I'm on the line with at the time the best shooters in the United States. So it was definitely nerve-wracking. I believe there was a couple of the Army Marksmanship Unit guys, as well as some other guys who were roughly my age, who were at the time just killing it, on the USA side. So I ended up getting silver, and that kind of put me on the put my name up there in the mix with people. Now that when you go to a competition, like, okay, look, I know who that guy is, instead of like, all right, yeah, there's a bunch of shooters out here, I don't really know anyone's name. And that's not to say that I'm anybody, but just to be, all of a sudden it was like, oh wow, that kid, he's put up scores before. He's got a red vest. He is on the national team. That's
right.
That's
along with that vest comes a little recognition.
Mm-hmm.
You get those scores, and the community, you start to pick out, and
Mm-hmm.
when you go to competitions, you start to see the names, like you said.
Mm-hmm. You see the guys in the red vest. You walk out there and go, wow, there's those guys in red vest. They must be, they must be really good at this. Or, oh wow, those are guys. That's the national team, and those guys, oh, that's the junior team. So you really get to see like the differences there. So then in 2018, this was at a different time of the year. These matches always happened in the summer. In 2018, we shifted I forgot the reason, and shot it in the fall. I think it was in September. So this match was really interesting because I came out, and I'll go a little more in depth with this match. I came out and shot a 21 my first round, and if you know, for the people who have been in that kind of realm with the targets, I mean, I missed 4 in one round. There have been guys who have shot, in some of the higher scores overseas, they'll shoot a standard 125 match and they won't miss at all. It's very rare, but it does happen. So for me to have missed 4 in the first match and I've got 9 more rounds to go, I was like, man, this is rough. This is
You get a feeling of
yeah.
down and out.
Oh yeah,
almost,
I feel like,
right?
man, I've spent all this time training for this match. I'm already out here, and I've essentially shot myself in the foot before it starts. So I really had to refocus and just tell myself, no, you're not out. You got to really go into it. I ended that match with a 242 out of 250. So I missed 8 targets across the next. I missed 4 targets across the next 9 rounds.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, that was a really, really, really cool
That
match.
is some fantastic shooting, Caleb.
Thank you. So that was really cool. I shot 21, 25, 24, 24, 25, shot a 75 out of 75 on day 3, a 23 and a 24, and I missed my last target.
You're kidding.
Nope, missed my very last target. It was on field 1, post 2, probably about a 20-degree left, 1.5 meters high. I know exactly which target it was.
And that's that order of magnitude difference in getting from that 90 to 100 targets, as we mentioned earlier. That's that to maintain that focus for the entire duration, because international trap is one of these games where you can't wander at all.
Not at all.
For the time that you're shooting, you're talking a round is typically what, 25 to 30 minutes.
30 minutes, I think, is like the average time.
Right, for six shooters.
For 6 shooters for 25 targets.
So that's a long time to be maintaining just brutal focus.
Mm-hmm.
Where
what will be your
one
peak
target
focus?
at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, peak focus. And maybe you can touch on how do you cope with that?
So the thing that makes bunker really hard is like an American trap, American skeet, or even sporting clays. Sporting clays is sometimes a 2-hour event. They're very grueling as far as like your mental game. But what's interesting about international trap or international skeet is you'll shoot your first round and say it's at 9 a.m. start time. All right, cool. Your first flight, and there's a flight is the amount of people on that field. So you'll have like 6 squads on field 1, 6 squads on field 2. So there's 6 flights total. You will shoot at 9 a.m. and you have to wait for all 6 of those squads to shoot on your next field before you loop in. So if it's 30 minutes, if it's 30 minutes a squad, that's 3 hours. So from the time I get done at 9:30, I have 3 hours until my next round. So you got a lot of time in there that you have to, maintain your focus. It's draining. I know, especially during that match, every time I got off the range at like the end of the day and we got back to the hotel, I slept really good at night because I was just absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, and if you aren't falling asleep, sleeping like a stone that night,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's maybe that testifies to you needing to put in a little more focus, right?
That could be a key also, but I've met guys, everybody's different. There's some people that I just know, they go out, they shoot, they go out and they'll leave the range and they won't go to bed till, sometimes midnight during a match, and they'll get up the next day, shoot a 9 a.m. first flight. They're completely unfazed. So everybody's different. It's the big thing is finding what works for you. There's what I think super cool about this game. If you look at 2014 Caleb up to 2018 Caleb, my shooting style to the way I approached the game, the way I approached my training, it's vastly different. You wouldn't think in a 4-year time that would be that big a deal, but just vastly different from the way I hold the gun, the way I look at the target, the way that I go into a mental mindset, the way I conduct myself on and off the field. It's just vastly different. So everybody has to find what works for them, and there's no one way to shoot a target. Like there's been times I've shot a 25 this way. Okay, that's great. I try the same technique at a different field, or even the same field, different day. Doesn't work. There's no one way to do this sport.
Right. So a lot of it's being able to have the tool sets at your disposal and being able to apply and adapt and overcome whatever it is that's present at the range that day, whether it be rain, whether it be a poor night's sleep, or
even as simple
whatever.
as I've
Flat
shot
tire on the way to the range.
flat tire.
Any of these things.
I eat Chick-fil-A every day for breakfast, and it's Sunday, and we're shooting, and there's no Chick-fil-A. It can be anything. There's all kinds of stuff like that that can really potentially mess up your groove.
Right.
I mean, I've shot American trap events, and I shoot an over and under shotgun. I shoot a Krieghoff K80, which I'll get into. But I've shot with guys shoot a pump action shotgun right next to me.
No, hold on one second here, Caleb. We are limited on time.
Okay.
So yes, you can give us a little bit more about what you're shooting, and then maybe we can get back to the national team.
Okay.
And then get into what you're doing presently.
Yeah. So so basically I shoot a Krieghoff K80 after the 2018 national championship. I was fortunate enough to get offered a contract to be a Krieghoff team member. So that was probably one of my highlights. It's always been when I started shooting, I was like, man, those guys who shoot those guns, that's super cool. Like I just don't see how I don't see how anyone ever gets there. Like it's something that just seems unachievable. So I got offered that sponsorship. So at the time, I was sponsored by Laporte clay target machine throwers and Krieghoff shotguns, and both fantastic brands. I shoot Laportes at, like I told my coach's house, Chad Wittenberg. I shoot those machines all the time. That's what they use in the Olympics, so it's the best thing to train on to try to get there. Practice how you play. So we shoot those, and then I shoot a Krieghoff K80 sporter, and I've been fortunate enough to be on their team. I love the company, love the gun. It's been great.
That's fantastic to hear, and yeah, they've really taken care of you.
Oh yes, sir. Like. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So maybe you could give us a little bit about the national team, what it was like to compete overseas.
Yeah. So so the next match following that nationals in 2018 would have been the spring selection in 2019 in Tucson, Arizona. I was fortunate enough. I placed second in I placed third at that match in Tucson. The only way I got there actually is I qualified, I think fourth. I qualified fourth. Basically shot my way in with the final. And the way they did the final was they did the final, but you shot your 6 shooters. You shot 25 targets. The guy who shot the lowest score dropped out. So that means there were 5 of us. Shoot 5 more, lowest guy, 5 more, lowest guy, 5 more, lowest guy, and then there's just 1 and 2. We shoot 10 targets. I won the final, so I got 3 points added to my score. By getting those 3 points, luckily nobody above me, that I could catch, placed, got any points either. Second place getting 2, third place getting 1. And luckily none of those guys did. So when I added those points added, I jumped into third place. Wow. Third place allowed me to gain access to the World Championship team for Team USA, and then allowed me to pick 1 World Cup to go to. So I went to the 2019 World Championship in Lonato, Italy. We stayed right there on Lake Garda in Italy, and shot at I just forgot the name of the range. It's Lonato. It's the range. Yeah, the range is in Lonato.
It is. It's called Tiro a Volo Conca Verde. Conca Verde.
Yeah. So most beautiful range I think I've ever been to in my life. So that was very cool. What's really interesting about that range is they have 12 bunkers at that facility, which is the most I'd ever seen in one place. Most I've ever seen before that was 5.
Wow, 12.
So they have 12. But what's really cool about the 12 is that it's one continuous concrete pour from field 1 to field 12. It's one big concrete pour all the way down, and they've got a tunnel system that they can actually drive. This is what I was told, drive an 18-wheeler down there and just unload the targets off the 18-wheeler truck underneath the bunkers, and they just carry the targets up to the bunkers. So they got like a tunnel, which is just mind-boggling to me because, like, in the United States, we have nothing like that.
That's unlike anything I've ever heard of or seen of, seen or heard of. I'll actually be going down there next week.
It's a beautiful range
this week, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Beautiful
Stay tuned
range.
to see that on the channel.
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful place. It's I hope you get some great footage there.
Yeah, thanks. And so you were competing there,
mm-hmm.
and how did that competition go? Was it like, did you have any feeling like maybe this is my first competition, like all over again?
Yeah.
It kind of hits you?
Pretty much. It was one of those, like, I had never experienced that amount. I mean, I went from like shooting with the best shooters in the United States to now all of a sudden I'm at a world championship, which the way that the international clay games kind of work is you've got like your World Cups here, and you've got your world championships, and you've got like your Pan American games, and then the Olympics. So it's not super high on the chain, but it's like, wow, I'm, with these shooters who are, the best in the world, and at this time we were trying to gain quota spots, which allow you for your country to gain entry into the United States, or not the United States, into the Olympics. So like for us, it was trying to gain spots for the United States team, or an MQS, which stands for minimum qualifying score. And for open men, that is a 112 out of 125. And I was fortunate enough at that competition, I shot exactly a 112 out of 125 at that match. So I got my MQS, which then allowed me, if I'd been given the chance, to earn a quota spot and then participate at the Olympics, assuming I had, made that. So that was like a big stepping stone in my shooting career. It's like, wow, I got my MQS now. That's like the last thing you need before you get the option to go to the Olympics.
Right.
So that
was that the allure from the beginning, the Olympics, or?
Yeah, so when I started in 2014, it was more along the lines of, man, I just want to shoot something that's a little bit harder. Like this is a really cool sport and shoot something harder. And then all of a sudden it turned into, wow, I don't have to do, just little, club shoots and stuff like that, which I love. I love, talking with people in the community and doing stuff like that. But it was like, I can now compete for my country on the world stage, and represent the United States of America. Like that's super cool. Doing something I love even better. So at that match, it was really interesting to meet these guys and talk to, guys from Germany, guys from, the Italian team, and, this, that, and the other. And it was just super, super cool. And just something I'd never experienced before. Just way out of my element, never dealing with these guys. It was just really, really cool.
A little bit of a country boy from backwoods Tennessee.
Yep, it's I'm a long way from home, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then that wasn't the only World Cup or international competition you went to either. You've been to other ones as well, right?
Yes, sir. So I'm trying to remember exactly when it was, but essentially a few months later, I was the World Cup that I chose to go to after that match in 2019 was I went to Lahti, Finland, which was super cool. I was given the option of 2 or 3 World Cups, and the other ones didn't line up because I was still in school. I've been through school. I was in school and college in my undergrad through all of this. So it was definitely a learning curve, trying to balance school life, shooting life, and get everything done in time.
Okay.
But yeah, so I went to Lahti, Finland, and shot at a World Cup there. And that's actually, Coleman was fortunate enough to be able to, he was taking a vacation with one of his friends, and they actually came over to see me at the range in Finland, which was super, super cool.
Yeah, funny little story there was Caleb's shooting. He goes up to shoot, and I was sitting there watching. And as you came off the range, I said, Caleb, do you realize who you're shooting with? And you're like, no. And you were on the same squad as Giovanni Pelliello, who is arguably one of the greatest trap shooters,
absolutely,
of all time. And who was that? There was one more, wasn't there?
There. I mean, at that match,
it was a stacked squad.
Yeah.
You had a pretty impressive squad there.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah, so a lot of the big names came to that shoot. Really cool to see, and yeah, that was my first experience going to a World Cup like that.
Hmm.
Really cool to see all the different countries there, all the different flags were represented, and yeah, everybody had a big smile on their face. Of course,
Oh
the
yeah,
great weather helped, but
yeah. Actually very nice while we were there. I think it only rained one day. It was the day we got there. So yeah, it was great weather.
super. Now, you have a good-looking hat on your head. What does
I
that
do.
say?
So that is a company I work for now. Through
Head
my
Down Firearms.
yes, sir. So through while I was finishing up my master's, I needed a job to essentially pay rent. So I there happened to be this gun manufacturer not far from where I went to school, and I approached them. I was like, "Hey, I'm very familiar with firearms, this, that, and the other. Do you guys have an opening?" They're like, "Yeah, we actually have an opening part time for a gun builder." All right, cool. So I went from the gun builder to the factory sales guy to now I'm the guy. I'm essentially the factory manager there at Head Down Firearms. So I it's
Congratulations on
thank you,
that, and
thank you.
sure you're doing good work over there.
I trying to, but it's I try to do the best I can. Like I said, the firearms is what I've known pretty. It's at this point my whole life, especially my adult life. So being in this industry is what I like.
Good deal. And so, what kind of firearms are you guys producing?
So we produce AR-15s and AR-15 style weaponry. So, and by that I mean we sell AR-15 rifles, pistols, and then we also do the new kind of trend is AR-9s, and so that is a nine
Okay,
millimeter, the 9 millimeter ammo platform within an
it's like a
AR-15.
so does that becomes a carbine,
Yeah, so
right?
it's the acronym for it is PCC, pistol caliber carbine.
Okay, pistol caliber
Yeah.
carbine.
So it's
Yeah.
they're really
Tomatoes,
fun,
tomatoes.
yeah, pretty much. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, my wallet has started to hurt much more since I've taken this job. Like I said, I was a shotgun guy. I never had rifles. So after I got this job, I went
Time to
nuts.
diversify
I
a
went
bit. Yeah.
nuts buying guns. So
Well, that's good. That's good. You know, the more guns, the merrier, as long as they're stored safely and taken care of,
absolutely,
maintained.
don't store them loaded. Keep them clean. Store them properly. Yeah,
Right, right. Yeah, and out of reach from the little kids. Keep them locked up.
always
We don't.
always locked up.
Yeah, we keep them locked up because at the end of the day, your firearm is your responsibility.
You're responsible for every bullet that leaves your gun, regardless if it's
So
shotgun, rifle, pistol, doesn't matter. Absolutely.
yeah. So head down firearms, and you guys are located where?
We're located in southern Middle Tennessee. Like I said, originally from Tennessee. Yeah, I live in the state's capital. I live in Nashville. We're lo- the but we're their Head Down is located in southern Middle, so they're in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee. Smaller AR company. We're not a huge name, but we produce a very high quality product. Something that we kind of do that's different than your other big names is every rifle that we produce, rifle, pistol, whatever firearm leaves our facility is hand built, start to finish by one of our guys, and then every gun comes with a checklist. It's like a 57-point checklist where the guys have gone through and they check off every single thing on the rifle, and then they date it for the day it was manufactured, and they sign it, and then our head armorer signs it. So you've got this essentially like a personal touch on your rifle, and that's kind of what we pride ourselves on is our quality. Like we keep our quality very very high for that reason.
Okay. And if anybody wants to go check out your firearms, where can they do that?
So for Head Downs Firearms, we have a website. It's HD like Hotel Delta firearms.com. We got our full product line there. Or if on our social media is Head Down Arms, I believe. It has pictures of whether it's stuff that we're doing in the factory, our stores selling stuff, or just people who have purchased our rifles. I'm big on community involvement. So if you purchase one of our rifles and you want to be involved, take a picture with it, shoot it over to us. We'll get it posted, I've always, especially being that young kid, like I said, with Krieghoff, man, how do you get one of those? You know, it's really cool to feel like your company appreciates you. So you have a picture of one of our products, and you want to get it out there, send it to us. We'll post it. We love to support our community as much as we want our community to support us.
All right. That sounds fantastic. And if anybody wants to get in contact directly with you because they're interested in buying a firearm, how could they do
that? The best way to contact me is via email. So my email is Caleb, CALEB, at hdfirearms.com. Or if you can't get through that way, if you just Google our website and I go there's a little chat box that pops up. And the chat goes to all the guys who work at the factory, including myself. And somebody will get you squared away, and they'll give you the best way to get in contact with me. Or if you just have questions in general, if you want to talk directly to me, that's great. I'm more than happy to answer. If not, any of my guys are more than capable to get you squared away and talk to you that way as well.
Super. All right. And so now we've gone all the way from middle school to high school to Certified Training Center, Tennessee, then Martin Methodist College, to the junior national team, to the full-on world championship national team. Is it safe to say that shooting shotguns, because that's what we've competed in our whole life, is it safe to say that's what led you into your work with Head Down Firearms?
Essentially, so yeah, that's what got me into this. So how it actually happened is, at the time, one of the guys that I had become friends with through the clay target shooting was actually working there. So he's the one I kind of texted first, and I was like, "Hey, you guys have any openings? Like, I'm needing a part-time job." So through the connection through shooting is how I got this job. But it's really interesting is since the meeting with him and getting into this job, I've noticed that a lot of my connections through shooting have led me to knowing people all over the country. I mean, at this point, I feel like I could text, if I were to scroll through my contacts, I know at least one person in just about every state in the country. So it's connections everywhere. It's great. So I think what's super cool about the shooting community, especially like the international clay target community, is everybody's so welcoming, so inviting, and everybody wants to, see everyone succeed and do better and be friends. I mean, there are guys that, like I said, I shoot against them all the time, but I still don't want to see them go out there and absolutely, tank around. I want to see everybody do the best they can, regardless if I want to beat them or not. Like, I don't wish ill will on anybody.
No, not at all. And it goes back to that level of competition, raising the bar. You gotta have competitors if you want to, push yourself to be better than someone or something. But when I say better than someone, it's not that I'm better than you. No, we're not shooting against other people. That's one of the things I want to point out here, because it's very different from, say, basketball. And when you say, okay, I'm playing on a team in basketball, I'm one of 5 on the court, and those other guys are really depending on me and what I'm putting out. And I am, in fact, competing against someone else. But in shooting, especially with say, at Martin, where we had the team dynamic, what we see is you're on a team. You want everybody on the team to do well, and none of you are actually shooting against other teams. You're all just shooting against the targets.
Correct. Or yourself. I've said this before. Your biggest competition is always yourself. If I go out there and I've been a victim of this myself. I don't care if I win or lose necessarily. Like, I always want to do the best I can. I want to win. But if I go out there and say my personal best, in sporting clays, for example, is a 93. If I go out there and I shoot a 97 and I still lose, am I upset that I lost? Yeah. But at the same time, I just shot my personal best. Like, I did the best that I could with the tools I was given and the day that I was given, and everything wrapped in. I can't be upset with how I performed. I went out and
Yeah.
I did the best that I could. Okay, today my best just wasn't good enough, but that doesn't mean it wasn't my best. You can't be upset when you've done your best.
Right. Right. And that's exactly why we push and we want to perform our best. So we
Absolutely.
don't have any regrets later on
Mhm.
about things that we may have left on the table.
Correct.
So, but Caleb, I think that's a fantastic place to wrap it up.
Oh, yeah.
Caleb Lindsey, factory manager
Yes, sir.
at Head Down Firearms.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
for having me.
great to see you again.
You as well.